Atlantic pretty often. I have my favorite ships, you see, and I have a habit of waiting for certain vessels I favor. It may be prejudice, but I was only cheated out of a good passage once in my life. I remember it very well. It was one June, and the Kamchatka was a ship I always loved to travel on. I say was, because she emphatically no longer is. She's uncommonly clean in a run aft. She has enough bluffing off in the bows to keep her dry, and the lower berths, most of them double. She has a lot of advantages, but I won't cross that duck pond in her again. Why? You'll find out. You'll find out the terror that was curtained in the upper berth on the June crossing of the Atlantic that year, when all the drowned souls who ever were endeavored to drag me beyond midnight. Beyond Midnight by Michael McKay. $105, lower berth, please. The steward took my portmanteau, greatcoat, and rug. I shall never forget the expression on his face. I supposed at the time, as he led me into the lower regions, that the steward had had a little grog, but I said nothing and followed him. 105 was on the port side, well aft. There was nothing remarkable about the cabin. The lower berth was double. There was the usual washing apparatus. The folded blankets looked like large buckwheat cakes. The general air was one of desolation, I remember.
I'll try and make you as comfortable as I can, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. So, I hope it'll be a good crossing for you.
Well, one passes across the Atlantic very much like another. Whales and icebergs are always indeed objects of interest. But after all, one whale is very much like another whale. One rarely sees an iceberg at close quarters.
I agree, sir. No, one don't.
I must say, I'm not looking forward to the first day at sea. People pace the decks and stare at one. Everything's uncertain. No one knows whether the food's going to be good or bad or indifferent. Seasickness. No, I don't like the first day. Not that I'm generally sick, but new sailors, you know.
Yeah. Well, sir, if everything...
Yes, thanks very much. I'm sure you want to go and look after more passengers.
Oh, thank you, sir. Pleasant trip.
I had the funny feeling, even then, that he was thinking me a queer fish. I don't know why. I also thought he didn't like number 105. But I mean, he wasn't going to live in it. I wasn't very keen either, but it didn't worry me unduly. I wasn't very pleased to find I was to have a companion, I have to admit. Before I'd been long in bed that night, he came in too. He was very tall, very pale, very thin, with sandy hair and whiskers. He was overdressed and a bit odd. I didn't like him and made up my mind I'd give him a miss whenever possible. If he rose early, I decided I would rise late, and vice versa. Anyway, I was pretty tired that first night. And perhaps the cabin wouldn't be so bad after all, I thought. What the devil? What happened Yes. Rolling a bit. Odd smell. Damp, sort of. Blasted cold, in fact. What happened to that other fellow? Well.
Fine morning. Well, it's a fine morning, and it's not a fine morning. I don't think it's much of a morning myself.
Well, no, it's not a very fine, must admit. You're the doctor, aren't you? My name's Brisbane.
It's just what I call ugly weather. Yes, I'm the doctor. How do you do?
How do you do? Very cold last night, I thought. However, when I looked, I found the porthole was wide open. Hadn't noticed it when I went to bed. Cabin was damp, too.
Damp? Whereabouts are you?
105. Why?
100?
Whatever's the matter?
Oh, nothing. No. Only, it's just that everybody's complained of that cabin for the last 3 trips.
Well, I shall complain, too. Certainly hasn't been properly aired. Shame.
Look, I don't believe it can be helped. You see, I believe there's something...
What?
Well, it's not my business to frighten passengers.
Oh, you needn't be afraid of frightening me. I can stand any amount of damp. If I get a cold, I shall come to you.
It's not so much the damp. However, I just say you'll get along very well. You have a roommate?
The deuce of a fellow who bolts out during night and leaves the door open. Doctor, you keep staring at me.
Did he come back, this fellow?
Yes. I was asleep, but I woke up and heard him moving. Then I felt cold and went to sleep again. This morning I found the porthole open.
Look here. I don't care much for the ship. I don't care a rap for a reputation. I tell you what I'll do. I have a good-sized cabin up here. I'll share it with you, though I don't know you from Adam.
That's very good of you. Really, I think even now the cabin could be aired and cleaned out or something. Why don't you care for the ship?
We're not superstitious in our profession, sir. But the sea makes people so. I don't want to prejudice you, and I don't want to frighten you. But if you'll take my advice, you'll move in with me. I'd as soon see you overboard as know that you or any other man was asleep in 105.
Good gracious. What?
Just because on the last 3 trips, the people who have slept there actually have gone overboard.
I was sure the doctor wasn't pulling my leg, but I was resolute all the same. I told him that even if 3 people had gone overboard, I was going to prove the exception. At breakfast that morning, I noticed that 1 or 2 of the officers looked grave. When I'd finished my meal, I left the dining room, was informed by the steward that the captain of all people wanted to see me. I went toward the captain's cabin and found him waiting for me.
Sir, I want to ask a favor of you.
Do anything to oblige you.
Your roommate has disappeared. He's known to have turned in early last night. Did you notice anything extraordinary in his manner?
You don't mean to say he's gone overboard?
I think he has.
He's the fourth, then. And I told the captain what the doctor had told me. He seemed annoyed. Then I told him what had occurred in the night. He was shocked and looked very grave.
What you say coincides almost exactly with what was told me by the roommates of the two of the others who disappeared from 105. The boat out and down the passage. Two of them were seen to go overboard by the watch. Nobody, however, saw or heard the man who was lost last night.
The others, you searched, of course.
Of course. We stopped and lowered the boats, but we found nothing. Now, sir, I beg you not to mention this to any of the other passengers. I don't want the ship to get a bad name, and nothing hangs about the ocean going like stories of suicides. You shall have the choice of the officers' cabin, including mine, for the rest of the trip. Is that a bargain?
Yes, but I shan't move, thank you. Mr. Stewart will just take that unfortunate man's things out. I'll stay where I am. You need have no fear that I'll follow him.
I'd rather...
Thank you, Captain. I'd rather stay where I am. Just one or two small things. I'd like the room cleaned and aired. I'd like the fastening of the port looked into. The thing was open this morning. Maybe the catch is loose or something.
Of course, you've every right to stay where you please, but... Oh, well, hang it, men. I wish you'd let me lock the place up and have done with it.
Towards evening, I met the doctor again, and he asked me whether I'd changed my mind. I told him I had not. He didn't say much, just,
You will, before long.
Stewart! Yes, sir. What the deuce do you mean, you scoundrel? Leaving the port open every night. That's against the regulations. Do you realize if the ship heeled and water started to come in, 10 men couldn't shut it? I'm going to report you to the captain for endangering the ship.
Sir?
Well?
Well, if you please, sir, there's nobody on board who can keep that porthole shut. You can try it yourself, sir. I ain't staying on this ship any longer once she docks, sir. If I was you, sir, I'd just clear out and go and sleep with a surgeon or something.
I don't want to sleep with a surgeon.
Try the port now, sir. Wait, sir. There, sir. Try it now, sir. It's fast.
Right.
Yes, sir. But I'll wager my reputation as an A1 steward that within half an hour that thing will be open again.
If I find it open in the night, I'll give you a $5. It's not possible.
$5, did you say, sir? Oh, thank you, sir. Good night, sir. Pleasant repose and all manner of enchanting dreams, sir. Night, sir.
I went to bed and I slept. I awoke startled, sometime in the small hours. I felt the draft. I got out of my bunk and stood. The port was again wide open. It was then I thought I heard someone or something moving behind the closed curtains in the upper berth. I thrust in my hands to see if there was anyone in the upper berth. There was someone. It was as if I was plunging my hands into a damp cellar. The air was full of the smell of stagnant seawater. I laid hold of something that had the shape of a man's arm, but was smooth and wet and icy cold, and then the creature sprang violently forward against me. A clammy, oozy mass hit against me. It was heavy and wet and seemed endowed with supernatural strength. And then the creature rushed to the door and out. A sort of creeping horror had taken hold of me. But I examined the upper berth once more. By the light of the railway reading light I always carry with me. The bed had been slept in. The smell of the sea was strong, but the bedding was as dry as bone. I did not sleep anymore. I waited for the porthole to open again. It didn't.
Morning.
Doctor, you're quite right. There is something wrong about 105, and that's an understatement.
Thought you'd change your mind. Had a bad night, huh? You want to pick me up? Have a capital recipe.
No, thank you. But I would like to tell you what happened.
Come to my place.
The peculiar thing was I couldn't get the blasted port closed. I struggled and actually bent the brass fittings before I finally got it to stay.
Bring your bags here. Stay with me.
No. You come and take half of my cabin for a night. Help me get to the bottom of this thing.
You'll get to the bottom of something else if you try.
What?
The bottom of the sea. I'm leaving this ship. It's not canny.
You won't help me then?
Not I. It's my business to cure passengers' ailments, not monkey about with ghosts and things.
You really believe it is a ghost?
Have you any reasonable explanation of these things to offer? No, you have not. You say you'll find an explanation. But I tell you won't, sir, because there isn't one.
My dear sir, can you tell me as a man of science that these things can't be explained?
I can tell you, and I do. And even if they could be explained, I would not be concerned with that explanation.
I've made up my mind to spend another night in 105. If the doctor wouldn't join me, I was determined to have the captain. Consequently, I told him the whole story. I said that if no one would spend the night with me, I would ask leave to have the light burning all night and would try it alone. The captain fell for my ploy.
Look here. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll show you watch myself. And just see what happens. There may be some fellow skulking on board who steals a passage by frightening the people on this ship. Just possible that there may be something queer in the carpentering of that berth.
Then I suggest, Captain, we take with us the ship's carpenter and make a thorough examination of the whole cabin.
Certainly. We will.
We did that. We took the cabin bit by bit completely to pieces. We found nothing in the least bit extraordinary. As we were finishing our work, the steward, Roberts, looked in.
Oh, sir. Did you find anything, sir?
You were right about the porthole, Roberts. Here we are.
Oh, thank you, sir. Well, begging your pardon, sir, I'm a plain man, sir. But it's my belief you'd better turn out your things and let the carpenter here run half a dozen 4-inch screws through the door of this cabin. There's been 4 lives lost out of here to my own remembrance. And that in 4 trips. Better give it up, sir. Better give it up.
I'll try it for one more night.
Now, you'll just put your signature to that, Mr. Bisbee.
Yes, sir.
You see, I cannot afford to laugh at the affair. Your signature to this writing, telling what we're about to do, is at least proof that another responsible man believed that something queer was happening in room 105 this crossing. Well, if both of us are all right after this night and we do observe or experience anything uncanny, then you and I together will fill in our experiences and emotions. If nothing happens tonight, we'll try it again tomorrow and the next day. Now, suppose we put your portmanteau before the door. One of us can sit on it. Nothing can get out then. Is the port screwed down? Yes. I like the reading lamp, but just a bit. And now we can see well into the upper berth. And I shall sit before the door. I searched thoroughly. There's nothing in here save ourselves. Nothing at all. It's impossible for any human being to get in, or for any human being to open the port. All right. If we see anything now, it must be either imagination or something supernatural. First time it happened was in March. The person who slept here in the upper berth turned out to have been a lunatic. He'd taken this passage without the knowledge of his friends, rushed out in the night and threw himself overboard before the officer of the watch could stop him. His suicide was accounted for on the grounds of his insanity. I've never heard of such a thing ever occurring before or after or in any other ship. Well, on the very trip... What are you looking at? I could not reply. My eyes were riveted upon the porthole. The brass loop nut was beginning to turn very slowly upon the screw. It moves. It's loosened. Look at it, it's loosened. I can turn it just with my hand. The queer thing is that the second man who was lost was supposed to have gone through that porthole. The weather was very heavy. There was an alarm that one of the ports was open, that the sea was coming in. Down here, we found the whole cabin flooded. The water poured in every time the ship rolled. Ever since then, the place smells of seawater. On my word, I can smell it now, can't you? Yes. A smell like this, the place must be damp. Yet when the carpenter examined it this morning, it seemed perfectly dry. Why? How did that bolt of port come loose, Captain? I saw it move. Hello. How did... My reading lantern, which had been placed in the upper berth, was extinguished. Most extraordinary. What? The port! It's no good. Wait. Stick. So the ring no good. Nothing can close it. Nothing. I'm as good. Brisbane, there's something in the upper berth. Hold the door. He won't escape us, whatever it is. No, wait. And I flung myself across that cabin and seized something which lay in the upper berth. There was something ghostly, horrible beyond words, and it moved in my grip. It was like the body of a man long drowned, and yet it moved and had the strength of 10 men living. Dead white eyes seemed to stare at me out of the dusk. The putrid odor of rank seawater was about it. Shiny hair hung in foul, wet curls over its face. I was wrestling with a dead thing. It wound its corpse's arms around my neck, the living death that was overpowering me.
I lay a long time on that cabin floor. The thing, whatever it was, could only have gone one way out, through the port. I revived the captain. He wasn't hurt, but badly stunned. There's nothing more. The carpenter ran a dozen 4-inch screws through the door of 105. And if ever you take a passage on the Kamchatka, you may ask for a berth in that cabin. You'll be told that it is engaged. It is engaged by something that's dead. I finished the trip in the surgeon's cabin. The captain never sailed again on that ship, although it is still running. I shall never sail her either. You see, I saw a ghost, if that's what the thing was. It was dead anyway. I believe that somehow that poor wretch who flung himself overboard, the first one, the lunatic, I believe he's condemned until that ship sails the Atlantic for the last time to sleep in the upper berth and hurl himself to his drowning death at night, every night.
Beyond Midnight is presented every Friday night at 9:30. The program is adapted for broadcasting and produced by Michael McCabe.